Hello, friends! 25 sessions! Where has the time gone? Why, it seems like only yesterday, where the demi-lich ripped my soul from my body and trapped me in this soul gem, with nothing to do but muse about Dungeons and Dragons.
Are you still whining about that? Let it go.
Anyway, Session 25 of the Old School Essentials campaign! Today, we have a full table. 6 stalwarts, seeking their fortune in the face of a hostile land and random encounters galore. So, without further ado, let's have at it! As always, the action is recreated using the Order of the Stick, Monster for Every Season, cutout minis. Today's players: Scott as Senec Christ, Lawful Cleric of Foltus, level 3. Rhiannon as Plexus Goric, Chaotic Dwarf. Nathaniel swapping out Colin Bush for a spell to play Harbin Bromwell, Neutral Acrobat. Vahid as Xavier, Lawful Ranger. With guest players, Matthew as Merrick Hiddenwood, Lawful Ranger. And Andrea as Andrea Ambertree, Neutral Druid. As we pick up the session, 4 newcomers to the keep are being read the Riot Act by Gren the Frowning at the front gate. Upon learning that Xavier and Merrick are of the Ranger Order, his demeanor changes and he gladly ushers them through. Making their way to the Traveller's Inn, they soon make the acquaintance of regulars Senec Christ and his dwarf friend Plexus Goric. Sitting together, they discuss the goings-on in the region, as well as rumors and information they have gleaned. Andrea Ambertree, a young druid aspirant, has been informed that mercenaries are treacherous and should not be readily trusted, while Merrick asks about rumors that legions of dogmen infest an area of the caves not too far from the keep, something Senec is able to confirm from first-hand experience. The keep is buzzing about the news that the tribes at the Caves of Chaos have recruited a hill giant who has killed several mercenaries, making expeditions to the caves that much more dangerous. A recent incursion to the Hobgoblin lair to rescue captives has had repercussions, as Hobgoblin raids against travelers and caravans has them butchering the men and children, putting the children's heads on pikes outside of the keep, and more recently even letting grieving mothers go to warn others that this is justice for the attack by cowards. News of a blight infecting farmsteads around Kleina has people concerned. Senec and Andrea are in agreement that this needs to be dealt with, and the rest concur that this is the wisest course of action, as the food supplies will be impacted if nothing is done. Local resident Onion Buns Bumblestump was the only survivor of a doomed expedition that tracked goblins to a lair where they seem to produce the oil that causes the blight. Kleina's guards and militia aren't equipped for campaigns against humanoid tribes, and the keep is too far and too undermanned to send forces, so rewards to mercenaries have been posted. The team seeks retainers to bolster numbers, and lucky rolls see not only 5 regular retainers, but 1 leveled NPC interested in joining. This is the most I've seen available at one time in this campaign. Charismatic acrobat Harbin successfully recruits 3, but the other 2 turn him down. Senec in turn chases them down and makes the other 2 another offer, which ends up securing one of them. A leveled NPC, Jared, demands 25% of the spoils, as per the module, but is negotiated to accepting an equal share. The 0-level NPCs with Harbin are John, Eli, and Slan. The retainer with Senec is Oscar. Once the team has equipped the retainers and armed themselves with their gear, they form up and head out, intending to reach Kleina by nightfall. Just out of sight of the keep, their trip is sidelined by a random encounter. A wyvern that has been stalking the region emerges from above the tree line and glides towards the group. They immediately ready missiles and spears. Initiative is with the group, and the retainers form up into a tight spear formation, while the others with missiles shoot at it, and Senec successfully blinds it with a light spell. The momentum of the beast carries it forward to complete its attack, but not before the retainers brace with their spears, and the NPC John scoring a hit. The next round sees the blind creature lashing randomly, skewering John with its barbed tail. Merrick aims with his longbow, but the shot goes awry and the arrow plunges into Andrea, reducing her from 7 to 3 hit points. Fortunately, the rest of the team is aided by Senec's light spell, and they deal several devastating blows. The chaotic Plexus, who has been staying out of range, letting the other chumps take the brunt of the risk, sees her chance and rushes in with her battle axe, connecting. The creature has 9 hit points left, and her D8 plus 1 has the potential to kill it. The roll is made, and alas, she scores a 3 for a total of 4 damage. Not too bad, but the fight continues. Fortunately, the team finishes the creature off before anyone else can be hurt, and they rejoice at the defeat of such a dangerous beast. Senec recalls that the keep has put a bounty on it, but can't recall how much. Several thousand royals at least. They rope the carcass and start to drag it back. En route, another encounter check sees 24 wild men, armed for battle, approaching. Harbin, Senec, Xavier, and Andrea approach to parley. The reaction is fairly neutral, but not hostile, until it is mentioned that Xavier and Merrick are rangers, which immediately earns the respect of the leader. He tells them that he's Ulbrich of the Warbear clan. They are hunting a skin changer that murdered some of their tribe. A war party was previously sent out to hunt it, but they never returned. Senec inquires about this skin changer possibly turning into a rat, but Ulbrich says no, it copied members of their tribe before murdering them. In its natural form, it's tall and gangly with stark grey skin. The group promises to seek out the warbears if they hear more about a skin changer and the missing warband. Then the two groups part amicably. As they leave, the wild men show admiration for taking down the wyvern and suggest that its lair may hold treasures captured by the beast. The team processes this as it hadn't occurred to them, and decides to forego the plan to investigate the blight in favor of ensuring there are no more wyverns, and collecting possible loot, of course. Back at the keep, Gren the Frowning is impressed with the wyvern carcass and arranges for it to be transported to the Inner Bailey while informing them that the bounty is 10,000 royals, less the excise fee of 10%, of course. But it will take time for the castellan to arrange that large of a sum. When they discuss going after the lair and other possible wyverns, the druid ponders the implications and decides that while these creatures have a right to existence, so too do the people and animals whose habitat are threatened. So, it's okay to destroy it. It is decided that the swift-moving characters, both rangers, the acrobat, and 3 lightly armored retainers, will see if they can track the lair by scouting the area where they encountered it and finding prey or evidence of a nest. First-level Old School Essentials Rangers have a 20% base chance to track. The DM rules that each will have a 10% chance of locating evidence of the wyvern's passage on the ground. Xavier fails, but Merrick succeeds after a couple hours of searching, finding a dead buck, torn open and bearing a blackened spear-like wound. Starting there and moving outward in a circular pattern, the trackers find other evidence of the predator, eventually leading to a ravine and a large cave. Finding the lair, Xavier creeps in, tossing a torch forward, illuminating a screeching wyvern, flapping its wings and raising its trembling tail, but not advancing. Xavier notices that it's guarding a clutch of eggs. Noting this, he quickly withdraws. The scout team returns to the keep and reunites with the rest, where they plot an assault. They equip the retainers with crossbows, based on the DM's house rule that a preloaded crossbow will automatically take initiative. The next day, Andrea changes her spell to Fairy Fire, and Senec memorizes Protection from Evil and Light. Then the team heads out to hunt more wyverns. En route, another encounter is rolled. This time the group is nervous as a deeper roar echoes over the land. A large, red dragon flies overhead. They freeze and wait, but the dragon just passes by, looking down at them and snorting in disinterest. This is a result of an indifferent/uninterested roll on the reaction table. When it's gone, it's mentioned that their absent fellow, Bumblestump, once saw a group of orcs giving an offering of treasure to a red dragon, and it's likely the same one. Xavier mentions that dragons have good treasure, and perhaps hunting it is in their near future. Moving on, the team makes their way back to the wyvern's lair and form up. Senec preps himself with a protection from evil to enhance his defenses, while the others ready weapons and load the crossbows. They creep forward, ready for action. They toss a torch into the cave and slowly advance, adjusting to the low light. The screech from inside is not a friendly one, and they prepare for the fight. The Wyvern wins initiative and prepares to launch at them to protect its eggs, but the loaded crossbows gain the initiative, and 3 out of 4 connect, drawing first blood. The Wyvern lunges at Jared. The attack misses. The team moves around to surround it while Senec and Andrea cast their spells. Andrea's Fairy Fire to aid the team's attacks in case Senec's light spell fails. The dice are with them, and the spell of light blinds the beast, allowing the melee attackers to barrage it with devastating strikes that would otherwise have missed. Near death, the creature's morale fails and it attempts to flee, but with the extreme damage, its flight is limited and the group assails it with missiles, finishing it off for good. Searching the cave, they find almost a dozen eggs, as well as the remains of other prey and various bits of detritus, including a broken chest filled with electrum, as well as some fine jewelry pieces. Loading their loot on a Senec's mule, they drag the Wyvern carcass back to the keep where Gren the Frowning is once again agog at the kill. The guards count out 1/10 of the electrum coin for the excise tax, and inform them to check in with the jewelers to appraise the pieces and report the value for the tax. The keep jeweler appraises the items at a nice hefty 6,900 Karamakos royals, tally of which is added to the 10,000 for each of the Wyvern carcasses, and 100 for each egg meant for destruction. This is the largest haul of any group so far in this campaign, jumping Harbin and Plexus almost 2 levels. Both of them actually have to forfeit XP as they are required to stop 1 experience shy of level 3 each. Senec gains enough XP for level 4, and the rest comfortably into level 2. Since he made level 4, Senec selects Gnome as the next character class from the Old School Essentials Advanced to be introduced into the campaign, and the session ends there.
Well, friends, as sometimes happens, there's no actual module to muse on here. The group was originally intending to deal with the goblins and continue the Sorrowblight field scenario, but the dice had other ideas.
There were lots of random encounters this time around, more than usual. The DM basically has a 1 in 6 chance a few times per day, but they just kept coming. First the Wyvern, then the Berserkers, then the Red Dragon.
Plus, I'll let you in on a little secret. A 4th encounter was rolled, but the players never knew about it as the creatures in question remained hidden and observed. But this is something that will come back around in some form.
This sort of thing is part and parcel of Sandbox-style play. I've met other players and DMs who feel that this style of play diminishes the game, but I couldn't disagree more. This is exciting and interesting. There's a framework in play, the keep on the Borderlands, and a nearby town, with many hooks seated in. The world is growing from a combination of DM prep as well as player choice. But today's adventure was completely spontaneous. It had been established long ago that a Wyvern was stalking the area, but aside from snatching up one NPC, there hadn't been any contact with it, beyond spotting it at a distance. Now, thanks to the dice, the players got to encounter it and make decisions around it. Even though it thwarted their choice to deal with the Sorrowblight, it didn't derail the game in any way. It became the game. Surprises like this can make the game exciting for the DM, who must now adapt and run with the new direction. This is a feature, not a bug. The very essence of emergent storytelling.
All too often, I come across advice telling DMs to ignore such gifts and push forth their prepared narrative. Piffle and Poppycock says, if only they knew the fun they're missing out on.
The players were, after all, in the driver's seat the whole time. They could have ignored the Wyvern and continued on to Kleina to deal with the goblins. But it was they who made the choice, all because a few dice said the Wyvern would make an appearance. Marvelous. The dragon was another nail-biter. It has been established that there's a dragon in the region. So, much like the Wyvern, it can appear at any time. When they saw it, they immediately clenched up and hoped and prayed. As a DM, it's important not to force things. The dice will land where they will, and you just need to let it play out. In this case, the dice said the dragon appeared, but they also said that it wasn't interested in the group. And that's the story. The DM didn't impose what he felt should happen, merely let the dice guide the action. Not every encounter can or should end in a fight. Players will often start those fights of their own accord, so you don't need to do anything. And that haul! Oh boy! Lots of happy players this session. With 2 newcomers, Matthew having not played D&D since the 90s, and his wife, Andrea, playing D&D for the first time ever. They were a great addition to the game, and we hope to see them back soon.
So, my friends, another one down. The next 2 sessions feature continued efforts to solve the Sorrowblight problem. But how will it play out? Who will survive? Tune in to find out. As always, I shall see you anon, my friends.